and welcome back to a brand new episode of Ask a Ghost Hunter with me, your host, author, and ghost hunter, Rick Hale. It is an extremely cold day here in the Chicagoland area, and I actually called off my work today because of it. So here I am, bringing you a new video. Got a nice hot cup of tea. Take a drink of that. So recently, I was having a conversation with an old friend of mine, and it was a very deeply spiritual conversation. She really is one of the only people that I actually have these kind of conversations with because she gets it, right. And we, bringing up various different things, of course, ghosts and hauntings and that kind of thing, and then reincarnation got brought up. When it comes to reincarnation, I'm relatively new to this, even though reincarnation really has been a focus of modern parapsychology for many, many years. But it's really one that I've only started taking a real interest in. So the questions ask, what are my thoughts on reincarnation? Do I believe in it? The answer to that is yes. I do. And later in the video, I'm going to get into why I believe in it. It's a very personal story. And but first, I think we need to talk about a few things. When it comes to reincarnation as a part of a belief system, there really are two ideas concerning reincarnation. We, of course, have the ancient ideas of reincarnation that goes back to Buddhism as well as Hinduism. It's a big tenet of these two very old and respected religions. And then there's also the Western idea concerning reincarnation. And they're similar, but different in many ways. So, before we get to the Western one, I think it's really important that we explore the idea of reincarnation from where it started with. Although reincarnation does figure into a lot of faiths and belief systems, even in many Native American religious schools and thoughts. But really, we get our idea of reincarnation from both Hinduism and Buddhism. And with both of them, especially in Buddhism, so it centers on the wheel of samsara, which of course is the birth, death, and rebirth cycle. And these it's based on karma, of course. Now, I know that people are always like, well, that person got it because they deserved karma. So one thing we got to realize about karma is karma is not the universe's hitman. Karma is very real, but it's not out there to make a person's life a living hell because they may have done something wrong. It's really all about what your next incarnation is going to be. So with the Wheel of Samsara, as we already said, that it is based on karma. So some of the causes of rebirth can be things like ignorance, desire, and karma can keep a soul, being, or entity pretty much chained to the Wheel of Samsara. If you lead a very trite, evil life according to the older ideas of reincarnation, you could come back as being a slug or being, an animal of some kind. There's even some belief that you would even go to hellish realms to work off that karma before you come back into another existence as a being. However, but if you lead a good life, you will still have to work off karma, but you could come back as a human and, try your best to be a better person that other time around. Eventually, though, if you get it right and you work off that karma really, really well, you would reach nirvana or moksha, as it is called in Hinduism. This is a, a an existence of perfect peace and enlightenment, and people are able to obtain to that. So that is where, like, that is the Eastern idea of karma, as well as birth, death, and rebirth in the Wheel of Samsara. Now, the Western idea is very much based off of the Eastern ideas of reincarnation. And what it does is our ideas here in the West, it blends these ancient ideas, as well as with spiritualist and New Age movements. A lot of it has to do with theosophy, which was really big back in the 19th century with the spiritualist movement. And it's a little bit different, as in you may not come back as a slug, but they do believe that you still have to work off karma, but you could still, keep coming back as incarnations of human beings. And a lot of people in the Western idea of reincarnation, they think that this explains why children may have memories of a former life, or children may have some kind of a talent, or not even so much children, but also adults too, that they may have like musical talent or artistic talent that they may have got after a collection of having former lives. It also could explain, feelings that people always talk about of deja vu. I've been here before. I've experienced this before. I remember this house, or I remember that building, or I remember walking through this forest, and they've never actually been there before. And it could also explain, if you want to get a little bit more romantic about it, it could also explain star-crossed lovers, twin flame theory, as well as soul contracts. In Western ideas of reincarnation, it is believed that we may have been with people in a former life, and we keep experiencing that in a soul contract, or like I said, even in twin flame theory. So that's kind of the romantic side of it, and that's the two ways of looking at and approaching reincarnation as well as karma. So, as I said at the top of the show, that I would talk about my personal experience and what makes me believe in reincarnation. So, about the time I was 18 or 19 years old, I'd have a reoccurring dream, and in this reoccurring dream, I would have it, a few nights a week, actually. And in this reoccurring dream, I was a World War I British soldier. And I could still see the soldier's face, even many, many decades after I was done having the dream. He was a young man, barely looked like he was even able to shave, wearing glasses. And in the dream, it's raining really hard and really heavy. And I'm running in a trench, which, was something that was commonly used during World War I for cover. And I'm running in a trench, and all of a sudden I hear a loud bang, and I fall forward. And when I fall forward, I fall into a huge pit of water. And it wasn't the bullet that killed me, it was that I drowned in water. Now, a psychic friend of mine has told me, well, this explains a couple of things about you. One, I have this irrational fear of water, which is kind of weird because I am a Pisces, and Pisces are supposed to, that's our element, is water. And this friend of mine I talked to is a Pisces as well. And so she doesn't really understand my fear of water, but there we have it. The psychic friend told me that that's why I fear water, because this is a former life that I remember. And I remember not dying from being shot, but from drowning in this giant puddle of water. And it also explains another thing too. Ever since I was a little kid, I have had this desire, this almost overwhelming desire to go to Great Britain. When I first got interested in the paranormal, one of the things that I really gravitated towards was British ghost stories, fiction as well as nonfiction. And I really focused on that. And that's why a lot of people kind of consider me to be very knowledgeable about British ghost stories, and why I wrote so many for Spooky Isles, although I've never actually been there. But according to my psychic friend, this explains this overwhelming desire and urge to go to England, because I am supposed to take this young man home. And so yeah, that's my own personal experience with believing that this was a former life. I've also been told that I'm a very old soul, and that my soul has been around for a very long time, and it's going to be around a lot longer until I get some stuff right. And hopefully one day I can get this right and I won't have to keep living these successive lives. But that is, my thoughts on reincarnation and how I came to believe in that. And it's funny too, because it's like from the time I was 16 to about 20 years old, I was and I've mentioned this on here before, I was very much involved in a fundamentalist evangelical Christian movement. And according to the Bible, it is appointed unto men once to die and then the judgment. So I never really talked about that reoccurring dream that I had, because, of course people would tell me that that was evil and of the devil, and that was, Satan trying to deceive me. So I never really talked about it. But, after my deconstruction and getting, myself back into the paranormal and parapsychology, reincarnation was one that I really, focused on and had an interest in. So those are my ideas concerning reincarnation, where reincarnation comes from, where it's going, and how I myself have experienced a past life remembrance. Same psychic friend of mine has always said that she's like, oh, please let me just regress you. Let me take you back into your past lives. And it's like, I'm not sure. I'm comfortable just knowing about this British soldier. I'm not really so much comfortable knowing about other past lives. So yeah, there you have it, folks. That's reincarnation. And thank you so much again for joining me here at Ask a Ghost Hunter. And as always, stay spooky, my friends.